Inside the Canal Center here on the Heights, Boston College up its biggest win of the season against Miami on Friday. They are back in action today to take on the Seminoles of Florida State, both of them as well. Now for Florida State, the big story is they're healthy. Finally, we talked to Chris Poole this week, and he is just so hopeful that he finally has his full team.
Yeah, it's another group that has had different lineups throughout the season, and it's been because of health, not because of effectiveness. So they finally got everybody back against Syracuse, and they had one of their best serving nights of the year.
ACC, Jason Kennedy had to be thrilled with what he saw in that game, the fifth-year head coach of Boston College, and today he goes up against one of the winningest coaches to ever do it, Chris Poole, winner of 891 career games, which is, as you see, way up there among active Division I coaches, and you could just hear it in his voice this week, the hope for what is still enough season left that they feel like they have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament, then you never know.
Yeah, and this is a program that's become accustomed to making the NCAAs pretty much every year under Chris Poole. The only exception was that, abbreviated COVID-shortened season. Still alive. They want to perform well over this last little stretch here, and it starts today against BC.
Florida State served it so well on Friday against Syracuse. What a start for Brennan, who goes with a smash against Draskovic to give Boston College the 1-0 lead.
How about this for a statement? Florida State loves to use the middle. BC coming right in saying, hey, we got some pretty good middle hitters too.
First chance for Florida State, and that's a good shot from Emma Clothier, the senior from Carrollton, Texas, who is honorable mention All-American last year and a first-team All-ACC, playing in her 100th career match today. Audrey Rothman now to serve for Florida State. Jenna Pollock, first chance, took something off on the other side. Seminoles to answer. Pollock was there with Haggerty. Free ball here for BC. Penn sets it up. Haggerty connects.
Good composure on the short dump that time. And Haggerty, good timing getting to that set quickly. Again, Florida State probably has her a little further down the scouting list. Doesn't see a lot of sets, but that's perfect time to do it in transition.
Sophie Lambros' serve is long.
Seminoles. Into the game for Florida State, number 8, Corey Lewis.
Clothier to serve. Murphy, a little bit of a miss hit, and there is ace number 1 for Florida State. As we talked about in the victory against Syracuse, 15 aces, which was a season high. They've had 39 aces over the last 3 matches, have Florida State, which is most in the ACC in that span. Lambros, good bump set, but it's out from Jensen.
Well, these two teams, dynamic offenses, dynamic defenses as well. They get after it defensively, keeping the opposing hitting percentage down, but both can be very efficient, striking the ball as well, and Florida State's come out the aggressor early on.
Gone after Murphy so far on the serve. There was a swing from Pollock. Seminoles to answer, Koenig. And it's Ianeselli who spent more time in rotation. That is Jensen, and it was tipped. So point for BC.
Now, just with that little mini 2-point run from the Seminoles, that's one of the things I think we should be on the lookout for today. Which side is going to be able to grab a hold of the serving advantage?
There's a block. Ianeselli and Haggerty were in position. Seminoles play it out. Lambros sets up Ianeselli. Good shot. Haggerty controlled it off the free ball. Good start to the game for Julia Haggerty.
Well, BC,
point for Ianeselli.
If BC can do this all day, they're going to be in good shape. Corey Lewis just looking to hammer that ball down, but the block there, and then good quick offense. We know that's what BC loves to do, and Ianeselli able to beat the defense to the spot.
Pollock just a bit outside.
Now coming in the game for Florida State, number 18, David Fitchburg, and number 15.
Pollock, who had a strong game the other day, as we talked about off the top of the show, that included on the serve. 3 aces to go along with 12 kills and 11 digs for Jenna Pollock. Ianeselli gets another point for BC. 5-5 here early first set.
And when we talked to Coach Kennedy during the week, he said that's something that Ianeselli is doing a little bit more of at this stretch of the season, ending points on the swing. Said she's usually very low error, but not always, you know, a great finisher. That time she's been able to finish.
Through the middle, that is long. First chance for Lewis. And it sends Anna Murphy back on the serve. Murphy, 3.8 digs per set, one of the best in the ACC once again. It's time to the wide side, good shot. Audrey Koenig, the sophomore, who was an all-ACC freshman team selection last year.
Yeah, she can really bring it. You'll see here, big gap in the block, and Koenig goes right through it.
First kill for Koenig. That's 236 on the season. Pollock from the back line, and the overpass gives the Eagles a 7-6 lead.
That's something a little different. We don't usually see a lot of that from the BC offense using the pipe set, and especially not for Pollock, who again is a little bit new to the back row.
So we've talked a little bit around it, but you certainly see some changes in the rotation for Jason Kennedy, most specifically with Ianeselli kind of moving all around the 6 rotation, and Pollock, who's now playing some time on the back line. Ken sets up. Ianeselli, was it tipped? Yes, is the ruling. Chris Poole may ask for a look at this one. For now, the point to Ianeselli, and it looks like we will have our first review of the game.
Understandable, right? You look at the corner officials, no touch call there. And the stand official, who does have the best look at it from where Ianeselli's hitting, but if the corner officials don't have it, you can understand why Chris Poole would think, well, neither of them saw it, how did you see it?
Certainly did not look like the fingers moved there, but it's so hard to tell on some of these replays. I mean, you're really splitting hairs quite literally. And again, that's where the call on the 4 matters in these situations. So you look for indisputable evidence to overturn it. If it stands right now, Boston College is hitting 600 to start this match.
Yeah, they've come out incredibly strong. You know, they've been able to stay within system for the most part. There was that brief 2-point run where the Seminoles got some good serves together, but for the most part, both teams have been very sharp in the serve receive. So I think both teams coming off good serving nights, so they know that they have to be just as good in serve receive today as well. Yeah, maybe a little very slight fingertip there, but that's a tough call.
So hard to tell. It's a quick review, and they're going to stay with the call.
And to your point, Eric, I think it's one of those, is there indisputable evidence? Hard to tell from you know, that view.
So the Eagles have an 8-6 lead, and it'll send Grace Penn back to serve for Boston College. Lewis, good strike. So we've seen that play a few times for Florida State.
Yeah, the blockers on that side for BC going to have to be ready for those type of sets, whether it's a slide ball for the middle hitters or an adjusted slide run for the right side. You're going to see a lot of that from Lewis, from Clothier.
Emery Dupes is long on the serve.
Good communication there by the libero Murphy. Able to call off Clavena that time to make sure she got out of the way.
Jason Kennedy talks about it a lot. He's like, change our rotation. We change some different strategies. We try to go faster. The one thing we always have, as he said, is Murph as his libero. That was short. It does get over. Pollock, good decision to just slam it down on 1 and give the Eagles a 10-7 lead.
Always love this decision when you're at the front of the net. If the ball is up for grabs, go and get it. you can be the first one to the ball. You're going to win the point 9 times out of 10.
Second kill for Pollock today. That is way out. Miss it off the serve. Ianeselli, again, getting more playing time and taking advantage of the opportunity. And she's given Boston College an 11-7 lead here in the first set as Chris Poole calls a timeout. So good start for the Eagles on a 3-0 scoring run. The ace from Ianeselli. And we appreciate you being with us today. 11-7 lead for Boston College over Florida State. And Ianeselli back to serve after picking up a point moments ago out of the timeout. And now a dig on the back line for the senior. Pollock's swing is not controlled by Emery Dupes. What a start here for the Eagles once again, following up a strong effort on Friday.
Yeah, 9 kills on 12 swings. Hard to ask for a much better start. And for Pollock, a little bit of accidental offense there. Kind of waffled that ball, but it did not allow Dupes to get in good position to receive it.
That's a miss hit off the serve. And what did we come on the show telling you? How well Florida State served yesterday? Well, it's the other team in maroon that you would think was the dominant serving team so far.
Well, Florida State went above and beyond with 16 aces against Syracuse, but the Eagles also had a very good serving performance against Miami. They held Miami to just 1 ace, had 8 of their own. So both teams coming off real good serving performances.
That one clipped the net on the way through. Murphy the dig, Pollock over on 2. Kept alive by the Seminoles, and that was well done. Ava Pitchford, the sophomore setter, did a nice job to control that. And now she'll come out on rotation in the 6-2.
Yeah, high ball there. And Pitchford doing a good job. Knew she wanted to set Clothier all the way. The block was there. Got a piece of it, did Brennan, but just wasn't able to power it back down to the other side. That's how good Clothier is.
Pitchford's one of the key pieces who had missed time for Florida State. And the Seminoles, as we watch Clavena get the point for Boston College. Florida State has had Draskovic for most of the year as the setter. Chris Poole even tried playing a 5-1 at some points. Didn't really feel like it worked as well as he would have liked, so they went back to the 6-2. They even used Melanie Cuervo, grad student from Lynn University in Division II, played a couple of games and even helped the Seminoles get a win. Eagles are attacking Audrey Rothman right now on the serve, and it's another point for Boston College. Kate Brennan, who had a great day serving yesterday with 4 aces, and picks up another point. Into the net.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different approach, right? With the new lineup, you've got a couple new servers in there in Pollock and Ianeselli. Ianeselli now, who hadn't had an ace all year, has back-to-back performances with an ace. So, you know, it's hard to scout when you haven't seen these players serve. So that I'm sure Florida State's still trying to get adjusted.
Lauren Burrows' first chance in the game for the Seminoles. Went through Haggerty on the set. To answer it, it was Emily Ryan for FSU. Clavena, that is long. And a point to Florida State.
Right idea, good approach by Clavena. Just turned it a little bit too far out wide.
That one long.
Ball is out. Eagles. Back in the game for BC, number 5.
Lambros and Jensen back in for Clavena and Penn. 16-10 lead for Boston College. Good shot from Audrey Koenig. Second kill of the match for Koenig, the sophomore.
And again, this is what a really good pass does for you, right? You see Haggerty having to pinch down on Emily Ryan, expecting the set to go to the middle because Florida State's so dominant through the middle. So that leaves one-on-one blocking for Koenig, and she's going to win that battle.
Lambros, back set for Pollock. Well done by Lambros. And Jenna Pollock executes.
Really like that rotation from Jason Kennedy. Again, we've talked a lot about, you know, the tinkering of the lineup and Pollock shifting around. Well, that time, they put Pollock back on the right side based off how BC was in the serve receive. So with Pollock and Jensen both there, they're comfortable hitting on both sides of the net.
Drop shot, did that hit the line? Yes. So point Florida State. at 17 to 12.
See, I don't think Ryan maybe got all of this, but yeah, just a little fingertip and kind of a hook shot, just catching enough of the line.
Emily Ryan, who came in from UCLA, that is long. So the Eagles lead 18 to 12.
Third missed serve from Florida State, each side with 3 misses. But again, BC, 3 aces to 1. So far, they've taken advantage of the service line more.
Murphy a little bit short on it, but it was well controlled. And Conley's shot. Eagles will have a chance. Jensen, that pass was way out in front. This is kept alive on the pancake from Pollock. Seminoles will get a chance though. Ianeselli with the block. Defending well against Sydney Conley.
Boy, how about a first set from Ianeselli? Everybody getting involved here for BC. What defense from Pollock. Great pull off the net from Brennan. And then Ianeselli, a huge stuff.
That is long off the serve from Murphy. You're right, it was the patience there for Kate Brennan to field that off the net without rushing on that sequence. So 19-13 is the BC league. Audrey Koenig to serve for Florida State. Lambros sets up Ianeselli. That was controlled by the libero. Another try for Dupes, kept it alive. Murphy bump set, Ianeselli took something off. Dupes set up for Rothman, and Pollock got a piece.
And that's really Florida State at their best, right? I mean, Dupes, a tremendous libero. Second one almost got caught, but didn't stick in the arms long enough to be called a carry.
Jensen got it to go. Perfect play off the block. Eagles on rotation, bring Penn back in.
Now this is the good thing for BC in this first set. They have not gotten stuck in a long sequence in the same rotation.
That one is good. Another Boston College ace.
A terrific knuckleball there from Penn that just drops at the end.
Timeout, Florida State.
Let's see, that ball just dies right on the end line. And another ace, 4 of them in the first set for BC, powering them to the 7-point lead.
21. Again, we've talked a little bit about it. Switching spots. Sometimes the positions in volleyball can be a little more subtle, but it's really made a difference here. And as Jason Kennedy said, it started trying to go for low error. And it's resulted in that, but using Jason's words, she also terminated a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you put players in different roles. You have different expectations of them. Ask them to do a little bit more, ask them to do a little bit less. And sometimes, you know, the chemistry just fits, and right now it's fitting for BC.
That's been Florida State's best shot so far. Lewis, the sophomore, playing for her hometown school in Tallahassee, with their second kill to make it 21-15.
Yeah, you know, grew up right in FSU's backyard, committed as an 8th grader. I was stunned to see that. I mean, usually you see that in maybe football or basketball, but not often I would think in volleyball.
She knew what she wanted. Here she is. That is long and untouched.
And one of the few times BC's kind of been thrown out of system, Penn having to throw that set a long way out to Clavenna.
Penn got to it well. Clavenna right down the line.
That's a kill for the captain, number 12, assisted by number 1, Grace.
Smart shot by Clavenna. You talk about being low error. This is a high percentage push. Go over the block, over the setter for that open corner and try to force the back row defender to race all the way out there and make a play on the move. It's a tough play to make.
She's been the right side for Grace Penn. It feels like for 3 years now. There's so much chemistry there between those two. Murphy, strong dig off the serve. Here is Pollock. That was absorbed by the block. Give Rothman a chance. Murphy there again. Penn back set Clavenna this time. And took something off. Murphy's gotten 3 on the back line on this point. Pollock, overpass. Brennan, perfect shot through the middle.
That was almost like a tennis rally, right? And BC's bringing heavy forehands with a lot of those swings, and Florida State's just doing the best they can to return the ball, hope they get something, but eventually Brennan comes through with a big smash.
So Ianeselli now back on the serve. She's had a big day so far. Eagles 2 points away from this first set win. Pollock, good shot. And it's set point for Boston College.
All right, now Florida State's just looking for an answer, finding a way to try to dig some of these swings up. They're having a tough time here in this opening set.
And tracks it down from Conley. Ianeselli stepping up. Another chance for Conley, goes cross court and executes.
Seminoles.
Yeah, you could hear from behind Conley there telling her, cut, cut, cut. They want that cut shot. Saw it the first time around. Penn was able to get to it that time. Too far in front and out of the reach of the BC setter.
So now Angela Draskovic, a senior from Serbia who came in from UMBC this year. And had to go a long way. But Ianeselli was set up. Brennan takes advantage off the block. And the Eagles win set 1. Well, 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 you never know in this conference. 2 teams tied for 4th in the ACC coming into the Heights this weekend. Eagles took down Miami already, and now up 1. Did not get the sense that this is what he expected out of these 2 games this weekend, but my goodness, what a start again for Boston College.
I mean, look, 25-16, you don't necessarily want to say a dominant first set performance, but it was pretty dominant for BC. You hit over 400. I mean, can't ask for really all that much better. Served extremely well with 4 aces in the set, on pace to even surpass what they did against Miami on Friday. And the blocking's been good. The serve receive has been good, knowing Florida State's coming in off a good serving performance. So everything going right for the Eagles in that first set. For Florida State, got to step up the serve receive, got to step up the defense in general. I think they've had a chance to make some plays off some of these BC swings, just haven't been able to have some successful ball control.
We'll see the adjustment process here in the second set. Remember, from the Boston College side of it, on Friday, the Eagles won set 1, got up in set 2, had a situation where they were up 23-20 at one point, and then a nice job by Miami to come back and take the second set. So now it's about continuing that momentum.
Well, and this is where Florida State's injury woes are somewhat a blessing in disguise, because the coaches can tinker with the lineup on the fly, and players will still feel comfortable with it. Obviously, you know, they like the group that they had on Friday in Syracuse, but, you know, if they have to go to a different group that they feel may be better suited to attack this BC lineup, then they can do that and feel comfortable knowing that they've probably seen that setup before.
Chris Poole said not just the fact that he got his whole starting lineup back, which was the first time they played that whole starting lineup on Friday since September 9th. Even before September 9th, the group hadn't been able to practice together. They had the first practice with the entire team just earlier this week, which on the one hand, as you said, allows them to play the rotation. On the other hand, you have teams who are already in their rotation at that point and have the chemistry built in. There's a good-looking block, though, for Florida State. Emily Ryan leading the way, along with Emma Clothier, the senior.
And let's not also forget something Chris Poole mentioned to us. Scouting Syracuse, scouting Boston College, 2 very, very different teams.
Pollock forces it over and given right back by Clothier. So there it's the Seminoles controlling the serve early in the second set.
Well, right away, here's the difference, right? BC out of system. Pollock trying to take a ball from behind her head, just tries to put it over. Great hang time there by Clothier.
Clavenna first swing of the second set. And a point for Izzy Clavenna. That's her third kill of the match.
That's going to be big, you know. They're targeting Pollock in that serve-receive setup. So she gets a clean pass away there. And Clavenna able to put a ball away through the block.
Kate Brennan to serve for Boston College. Grad transfer from UNLV. Now, so far, it has been Clothier, whose name we did not call that much in the first set. Well, we've called it now 3 times at 4 points here in the second set.
Yeah, converted middle, playing a lot more right side this year. And, you know, they're going to look to try to feed her a little bit more if they can.
Just 3 total attempts so far. She's executed all 3. Pollock got it through the block.
That's a big block, too. Ryan and Lewis up front.
Ryan at 6'4". Lewis at 6'3". Seminoles have a bunch of different players, 6'2" and up. It's a very tall Florida State team. That is not controlled. Off the serve, and an ace for Lambros. Came in leading Boston College in service aces per set.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. Dupe's one of the best liberos in the league, and usually she's money.
That is good on the back line. And back-to-back aces for Lambros.
That's the second time that Dupes has been duped by that drop ball. First was Penn, this time it's Lambros.
Lambros, who was 4th in the ACC in aces per set coming in through the middle, and a good answer from Emily Ryan, the grad transfer from UCLA.
Into the game for Florida State, number 18, Ava Pitchford, and number 15, Sydney Conley.
So 4-4 here in an important second set. Pitchford to serve for the Seminoles. Jensen is blocked.
Seminoles.
Job by Conley getting over there.
Short serve for Pollock. Controls it well, got it back. And the block has started to come alive for Florida State here in this second set.
Yeah, last one was all Conley. This one, all Corey Lewis. Just getting on top of the ball. You can see Pollock a little bit early in the jump, still coming down as she unleashes that swing, and so is swinging up at the hands.
Jensen had to just push it to the back line. Soft shot goes. Audrey Koenig. And Florida State off to an excellent start in this second set.
A little change of approach from some of these Florida State hitters. Usually, you know, it's a big team. They come with pure power, but they've gone to some more tips and drop shots here.
Through the middle, and Haggerty. Jason Kennedy called Julia Haggerty probably his most improved player this year. Last year, just 18 sets as a freshman. She's been huge as one of the middle blockers this year for BC. Lambros for Ianeselli. Seminoles forced to play it out. Lewis, good shot.
Love the set here from Pitchford because as a blocker on the other side, you are not expecting this ball to go to the middle of the net. And Pitchford, good communication with Lewis, just that little short back one ball. She hammers it.
Lambros for Haggerty again. Good job by Dupes to dig it on the back line. Ianeselli. Dupes was there again. Rothman over on 2. Bridget Green in the game for Boston College for the first time today. Lewis trying again. Lambros was there on the dig. Jensen. Another chance. Still kept alive. And Jensen just pounds it over with the right hand. What a point. Ianeselli. You start to lose the legs at the end of it. Couldn't quite get up high enough. And Florida State leads 9-5.
Best defensive rally of the day. Lambros laying out, Rothman in the back row. Bridget Green getting in the mix as well.
Ianeselli, block was out. So 9-6.
Back in the game for your Eagles, number 3, Kate Brennan.
That is out. Or beg your pardon, tipped on the way through. So 10-6, Florida State. That was another serve directed at Rothman where the Eagles have gone. They had success there in the first set. Second set, she's been able to manage. Dupes to serve for the Seminoles. Lambros, bump set for Ianeselli. Couldn't get everything on it. And that is out.
Rothman just a little off balance there as she went up, fading away as she tried to put that ball between the antenna and the block. Tough window to get through.
Eagles within 3. Shot through the middle, trying to get it to Clothier. Lavenna could not get it over.
Seminoles. Back with the game for Florida State, number 7, number 9, number 3.
The first set, BC could do no wrong hitting. Second set, Florida State has really upped the blocking game, and you can see, they've got good size at all positions. And a number of converted middles, Clothier one of them. Ryan, Lewis, all see plenty of time up front, so that's a tough wall to get through.
Missed it off the serve. That's where the Seminoles had so much success in Friday night's match against Syracuse. And Jason Kennedy is going to use a timeout. So Eagles certainly controlled set 1, but the Seminoles have responded well here in the second set from Chestnut Hill, up 12-7.
Florida State's lone representative on the ACC all preseason team getting it done up front, no matter where she is on the floor. First the block, then the tip kill off the right side, and then back in the middle. Getting the blocking thing going again. And it has been Florida State dominating the net here in this second set, Eric.
And I think this is where you get some of the veteran experience of this Florida State team. So Clothier, as we just showed you, didn't have a ton of reps, but has really come to life in this second set. Florida State has really adjusted well. Another block there. That's 5 for the Seminoles in the match. 13-7 FSU.
And you wonder if BC has just slowed down a little bit. With some of these blocks, each successive one may sort of make them think a little bit more.
And of course, that goes against what Boston College wants to do as they try to go fast. Jason Kennedy, I think, is going to ask for a review here, depending on how this point turns out. He's looking to see if Florida State was into the net on one of the block attempts. For now, 14-7 as the Noles have doubled up the Eagles.
Either in the net or over. He's arguing that the block came over and touched the ball before Brennan got the third touch in for Boston College.
He'll say his piece, but will not challenge. Penn, there's the speed of the Eagles' offense.
Huge kill for number 3, Kate. Assistant to number 1, Chris. And the Eagles, number 6, Jenna, Pollock.
And kind of a quiet day for Brennan against Miami. I mean, they didn't need as much of her 3 kills, but also didn't see a ton of sets.
Yeah, it was much more about her in the serving game, and especially in the first set. Yeah, just not that many attempts, as you talked about, as BC trying to ride the outside with those really good Miami middle blockers. Here is Pollock, decides to force it outside, and was a little bit long with it.
Again,
not 15-8.
Yeah, again, not a bad idea. Just got to get that execution where you're getting it right into that back corner. It has to be a very precise shot.
Lauren Burrows, the senior from Marietta, Georgia. From Walton High School, one of the best high school programs across the country. There is Pollock.
That ball is on point from Grace County to number 6, Jenna.
Long set there, and Pollock doing a good job to beat the block. Ryan had a long way to go to try to close it out.
Pollock 8 kills, hitting .312 in the match. Over on 2, good decision. And if you're gonna say carried it, so a point to Boston College, in fact.
I don't know if it was a carry or over the net. I think Draskovich got over the net line there. Remember, Florida State runs a 6-2, so setter's always in the back row. Yeah, you can see her hand clearly over the net line as she makes contact with that ball. And I think she's telling her head coach now, yeah, I got a little too high on that one. It's tough when you're
Sorry,
a back
coach, this on me.
It's tough when you're a back row setter. You know, that dump play is a very efficient play when you can catch the defense flat-footed, but if you're in the back row, you got to stay below the net line.
Draskovich was reaching for it and went into the net again.
Yeah, that time she got caught reaching back a little bit too far.
So 15-11. BC trying to come back a bit here in a set that Florida State has controlled from the jump. Here is Pollock. 2 were there. And knocked over Clavenna. Bump set. Pollock again. That is long.
Missed opportunity there. Brennan gave him a great dig off a good serve in the back row. It was a good first tip by Pollock. Right idea to come hard with the swing the second time around. Just couldn't quite catch the high hands.
So 16-11. Point for Florida State after the Eagles had won 3 in a row. Pollock, big shot.
That's a kill for number 6, Jenna.
13th assist for Penn. Jenna Pollock, 8 kills. I should say 9 kills on 19 swings.
This thing, that spot on the floor is going to get set typically more often than anywhere else, and you're going to have to live with some errors, but if you can get finishing plays like that, you'll take that every time.
Lambros all the way across. Jensen got deflected on the way through. That was into the net and gets over Koenig with enough velocity on it to get it through the block and the point for Florida State.
Check out the defense here off the block. Unbelievable save by Dupes. And a nice set on the run there by Draskovich. Just popping it up and giving Koenig a chance.
7th assist for Draskovich. Lambros leaves it for Jensen, who gets the point. Right around the same spot that we were the other way in the first set, about 17-13.
BC can string a couple serves together. They'll find themselves right back in it.
And Pollock serving now in this new rotation. That's one of the hardest serves on the Eagles. Lambros leaves it. Jensen again trying to get in rhythm. Koenig. Murphy was there. Lambros back for Ianeselli. And Pollock has to lay out to keep it alive. Through the middle, Lewis. It is good.
Seminoles.
Found an open spot. Corey Lewis.
Well, that rally very much up for grabs. Some great scramble defense by BC, but Corey Lewis just too strong in the end.
So 18-13, Florida State second set. Jensen is controlled by Pitchford, and that is out. Rothman trying to go cross court on the angle.
Good read by Murphy. Had that line covered and wisely let it go.
Lewis was long if it wasn't deflected, and it was not.
Again, looking for that slide ball. been very successful for them. Pollock almost bailed him out, but pulled the hands down just in time.
So a timeout taken here, 18-15, as Boston College has won 2 points in a row as the Eagles trying to claw their way back. A first set which featured some very high hitting percentages. The second set, a little bit more about the block, certainly. So Florida State up by 3. Well, we've already showed you some. We have more.
Usually with the kids, they keep it light, funny. That's
Yeah,
straight out of a horror
movie.
movie.
Like Winnie the Pooh. You know?
Florida State leads 18-15.
So a 3-point game, and it will be Boston College on serve. Feels like a crucial point at 18-15. And it is the spooky Murphy to serve. Block on a piece, Murphy coming in to make the play. Ianeselli, oh, pancake was there. Another chance for BC. They go to Brennan, who skips it off and gets BC within 2.
Well, tremendous tenacity by the defense of the Seminoles. Great pickup here. They salvage it for a moment, and Brennan just bounces it off the block.
Ambrose back set Jensen. Good job by Dupes. Rothman. Block got a piece. Murphy forced to set. Pollock back line. Into the net. Brennan kept it alive. Jensen's swing controlled in the back. Another one through the middle, and Lewis executes. Corey Lewis gives Florida State a 3-point lead again.
Well, sometimes you can do everything right and not get the point. When you see Corey Lewis skying through the air like that, good luck.
Looks like Jason Kennedy's going to ask for a challenge here.
BC is challenging that there was a net violation during the rally.
So challenging whether there was a net violation during the rally. They will take a look on the far side.
I think he even admitted he sort of had a shrug there like, man, let's see.
Let's give it a shot, why not?
That was a tough point. First review went his way, maybe the second one will too.
Let's see.
I mean, the net clearly moves. Is it all ball or is there hand there as well? Not on that one.
I believe it was on the first one. We're gonna lock in right on the referee's monitor here, and you can see exactly what they're looking at. And they seem to have come to a quick conclusion. And they will stick with the call on the floor, so points to Florida State. So 3-point lead for the Seminoles here in the second set. Ambrose leaves it, Ianeselli, and the overpass is, oh my, it's good on the line.
I don't know what you do about this. It's just a great play by Dupes to get a touch. Murphy over her shoulder. Maybe get a little help from the bench.
It's an impossible shot even if Murphy tries to go for it.
Yep.
So it's not the wrong choice by any means.
One of those classic pass kills from the libero.
It happens. It's 20-17. Eagles got a point back, and now Grace Penn back in on rotation. Through the middle, that was deflected. And Florida State to 21-17. And that will bring Kraskovich back in for the Seminoles. Murphy got a piece. Penn tried to go over on two, really the only option. So 22-17, and Jason Kennedy will use a timeout. So Florida State with back-to-back points. Dreskovic on the serve to give the lead up to 5.
Bazzario picks perfect time to have maybe one of the best matches of her career.
This is what Boston College has left, and the big one there is Pitt twice. But one note, Jason Kennedy mentioned this week, they played so many matches on the road. This weekend was only the 5th and 6th home matches in this building all year, so you do the math, they're actually gonna play more home matches in the last 3 weeks than they will the entire season before that. 2 road games left, and both single-trip road games at Duke and then at Pitt at the end of the year. Now, the other side of that is good Miami team, good Florida State team, and Pitt twice on the schedule. Lavenna got it. So the Eagles get 1 back off the timeout.
Well, still a little ways to go here, but again, BC's still a slight edge in the serving department, so if they can sort of exploit that here in the late points, will give themselves an opportunity.
Overpass, and this time the Eagles take advantage.
Well, that's a terrific dunk there by Pollock. Getting right on top of the ball. You know, sometimes those overpasses come back over with so much speed that you're not able to control it. Well, Pollock doing a good job elevating there to make sure she got on top of the ball and put it straight down to the floor.
Eagles close the gap from 5 to 3, so Chris Poole will take a timeout. Folks, the ACC's Committee for Racial and Social Justice, in conjunction with its member institutions, have identified October 22nd through the 30th as ACC Unity Week. And we appreciate you joining us here from Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Second set between Boston College and Florida State, closing out the ACC weekend. Florida State, who really had their struggles on the road this year, had a big road win against Syracuse on Friday. And after today's match, they will return home to take on Clemson and Georgia Tech. Seminoles get Georgia Tech twice the rest of the season, as you can see. Again, the hope here for Florida State, and for all that Chris Poole mentioned about the injuries and being out of rotation and playing people in different spots, they were still managing to win a lot of those matches, so they've kept themselves in position for a chance in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and he said, you know, one of the things the committee will look at is sort of how you did over your last 8 to 10 matches, and he feels like if his team can, you know, have a good closing kick to their season, that they'll be right there in position to get back to the tournament. I think those 2 matches against Georgia Tech are going to have a lot to determine their fate.
Yellow Jackets are really, you've seen the step coming, but they've taken the step where they've been consistent top 10 this year. So the ACC now really 3 in the top 10. That hit the antenna, and Florida State is 2 points away from taking set 2.
In the game of Florida State, number 23, Lauren Burrows.
Lauren Burrows will come in to serve. That is out. Good read by Pollock.
Ball is out. Point, Eagles. Down to the game, number 18, number 23, Julia Haggerty.
So 23-20. Haggerty back in, and Brennan to serve. Dreskovic goes for the middle, and the Eagles are there with the block.
Oh, biggest block for Haggerty today. This is what she does best. Gets big up front, watches the ball, squares it up. Nowhere for Ryan to go.
Well done to keep that alive by Dreskovic. And a smart decision from Emma Clothier. And it is set point for Florida State.
Yeah, she knows with Brennan serving, Murphy's out of the game, so she goes right at Brennan. Clevene comes over to try to help, but couldn't make the play on the move.
Clothier, who won 3 points early in this second set, will now try to win it. Pollock. Nice job by Draskovic to keep the point alive. Haggerty, got it.
The 3 kills already for Haggerty. Feels like BC is utilizing the middle a little bit more than they have in a few of their recent matches.
Interesting here from Jason Kennedy. He's going to bring in Grace Milliken, so an extra middle blocker rather than Jensen, as the Eagles trying to defend against a second set point. Ianeselli in the back line. Lambros wide for Pollock. Kept alive again by Draskovic. Pollock this time gets the point.
That's why Dupes is one of the best. Florida State feeling like they're never quite out of it. Draskovic getting a piece, Dupes keeping it alive, but Pollock too strong.
Kept alive by Draskovic. Free ball for the Eagles here. Pollock, block was there, kept alive. Lambros for Ianeselli, blocked and on the line. And the Seminoles do indeed survive set 2.
Oh, just a towering block out of the middle with Lewis and Ryan. Couple of 6-footers, and BC had no way around. This is gonna be a hot take. Hot take, police on alert.
Okay. Oh boy.
Not an elf fan. Not a fan of the Will Ferrell.
Oh wow.
No.
Okay.
You can leave that off the Christmas holiday list for me.
All right. What a take. Well, we have had a set 1 each way so far. Florida State winning 25-23 in that second set. And the big reason why was pretty simple. It was the block.
Absolutely, and when we talked to Chris Poole earlier this week, he said there probably will be some adjustment for his team, right? You go from a big, powerful, outside hitting team in Syracuse to a fast-paced offense in Boston College. And in that first set, the block admittedly looked a little bit slow for Florida State. Well, they get in better position in the second set, and it results in a pretty dominant victory, even though BC made that run at the end.
So you can see all 6 blocks came in the second set for Florida State, and the Seminoles' hit percentage actually higher for the match. Remember, Boston College hit 406 in that first set, held to 085 in the second set.
So now for BC, how do you adjust? Goes back to good passing, have to have good serve receive, have to have good first touches, and that allows you to continue to run your fast-paced offense, because the more times all your hitting options are available, that's going to slow the block down for even just that little split second, which can make all the difference.
So, set 3, again, 25-17 in set 1 for Boston College, 25-23 in set 2 for Florida State. That'll be the Seminoles to start on the serve, and Angela Draskovic, the Serbian senior, started her career at Northeastern Junior College, played a couple of seasons, then UMBC last year, where she was the America East Most Outstanding Player, and now setting here at Florida State. Brennan couldn't quite get the height on that first look, but the block was there.
Good anticipation here by Brennan, and for all we talked about the Florida State block in the second set, well, here you've got 2 middle hitters as well. Remember, Pollock a converted middle, so her blocking game is good. Does just enough to get to the net there and return that one.
So the Eagles start first, and now Brennan on serve. Lavenna tried to push it along the sideline, and there's a good answer from Emily Ryan, grad student from UCLA.
Clevene again looking for that push shot, just didn't get enough air under it. Dupes Able to make a quality pass to set up the middle.
Penn pushing for Pollock. Now Haggerty will get the point.
Always a controversial decision when you make that call as a middle. Ball sort of sitting up in the air. Penn was underneath it. Haggerty says, nope, I got it. If you say I got it, you better do that.
Yes. Fourth kill, or beg your pardon, third kill of the match for Haggerty. Koenig that time did not get over.
That's a tough one. Chris Poole's going to hate to see that. That's just a communication error. Plenty of time for somebody to get to that ball off the block, and nobody does. But just to go back to the last point, I could speak from experience. Setters hate when you call them off.
Breskovich for Clothier. Now here is Kat Jensen. That gets deflected. No.
Well, she's appealing to the bench. Jason Kennedy says, what do you want me to do? Nobody had it.
So 3-2 in this third set. Lambros back for Jensen, and that time got it through. Better angle on the attack for Jensen, and it's 4-2 Boston College.
Again, you can see Lewis coming over just a little bit late. And that tough block to swing against with both Ryan and Lewis on the floor.
Nice job by Breskovich to at least keep it alive. Ianeselli this time was blocked. That may have gone straight into the net before it even got to the block, so 4-3.
Yeah, I think BC is going to have to start to recognize when this duo is on the floor together. Ryan and Lewis, such an excellent blocking combo. And BC would be well served to try to set away from them at all times, if possible.
Jensen could not get it over. That one did go into the net. And it's 4-4.
And this is what a good block does, right? You start to try to be a little bit more finesse as a hitter. You try to go for more aggressive shots.
Ianeselli got it through. That time it was Sky Eakes, the sophomore from Sarasota, Florida, who's into the match for the first time on the block along with Lewis. Brennan back in for BC. Murphy to serve. And that's into the net. Really, all three sets have been pretty even in the early going. Lambros for Ianeselli. Now wide for Eakes. Good dig by Murphy. Lewis through the middle. Murphy got another. Lewis trying again. That is out. What a job by Murphy. Got a couple of different key digs.
Well, he's showing the flexibility, getting real low to the ball. First time hits the floor, second time, I mean, Lewis is all on top of this. And bouncing it off the net, trying to hit it the 2-foot line.
Grace Penn to serve for Boston College. Lewis on the slide. Yes.
Seminoles. Back in the game for Florida State, number 16, Emma Clothier.
And Emery Dupes now. Sophomore went to Walton High School. 97-1 during her high school career. 3-time state champ. Penn for Ianeselli, and that is out. So 7-6 lead. Of course, the only loss that Walton High School had was in the 2020 state final to Ava Pitchford, now her teammate, who is at Alpharetta High School in Georgia. Penn had to go a long way to get to it. Did well to give BC a chance. But that's a smart play. Take something off. Sydney Conley. Go down as her third kill of the match, 8-6 Florida State. Ianeselli pushed it over with the right. Little bit of miscommunication there for Florida State. Will give the Eagles a chance, and Brennan converts.
So BC falling in love with the tip maybe a little bit too much. And so fortunate to sort of get that free ball where they're able to finally utilize the middle. Brennan has converted pretty much every time she's touched it.
Ianeselli will get the ace.
That's an ace for number 2, Silvia Ianeselli.
How about that for Ianeselli? Really hadn't served much all year. Those are 3-4 aces on the weekend now.
Boston College with 7 aces so far today. It's a close one in the back line. Dupes decide to play it out. Pollock with Dupes there on the back line. Pitchford. Brennan again. At Boston College back in the lead. 3 in a row for the Eagles.
This is a great job by Brennan coming to the ball. This is what you always want to do as a middle hitter when you're looking for that quick one-ball set. Sees Penn backing up and make sure she goes to the set instead of expecting Penn to get it to her in the middle of the court.
That was a violation against Florida State, so 4 points in a row for Boston College, and Chris Poole will take a timeout. Eagles, a nice turnaround here early in the third set. 4 points in a row, forcing the FSU timeout. Well, Silvia Ianeselli will get another chance on serve here. How effective has she been this weekend?
No aces all year long. Really hadn't had much opportunity to serve, but that's her third of the day. Taking care of Dupes in this whole rotation. She's had Florida State out of system, forcing the Seminoles to take a timeout.
Also had one on Friday night against Miami. Pitchford. And that is another violation against Florida State, and that is 5 Boston College points in a row.
Yeah, Clothier on the follow-through just took a little bit of a step under the line. And that's a tough one because that's always a judgment call, right, by the down official as to whether or not the player is impacting the play when they step under the line, when they step under the net.
This has all been on the serving run of Ianeselli. Penn sets up. Brennan got another. So the Eagles have won both points out of the Florida State timeout. And that is now 6 points in a row for Boston College. From the back line, Koenig ends the drought for Florida State.
Yeah, that caught a piece of the net court as well. And that's why Penn wasn't quite able to square it up. But interesting that whole rotation, Ianeselli going after the libero Dupes, which you don't see a lot. But felt like
and
her
had
serve,
success.
Yeah, felt like her serve would give Dupes problems, and for the most part, it did.
12-9, the Eagles lead here in the third set. Murphy goes way up in the air for Pollock.
That's what Jason Kennedy told us, right? You don't have to be perfect passing from that spot if you're Pollock. You just have to be good enough, and you have to be able to fix your mistakes.
It counts as one on the score. That it counts as one on the score. But there is a serving error against Brennan. So 13-10. Lauren Burrows. Haggerty was blocked. Emma Clothier, the senior, was in perfect position.
Yeah, I saw a little communication. They wanted Clothier to take the middle block in this rotation and have Ryan shift to the pin. Good decision by FSU there.
And a service error to turn the point to Boston College.
That's sort of the luxury they have with multiple middles on the floor at any given time. They can sort of say, all right, this specific lineup, you block middle.
Clothier. That is Murphy, who could not quite control it. So Florida State back within 2 here. And Clothier to serve. Ambrose for Jensen. Koenig. Murphy got the right hand on it. Chance for Jensen. Lewis. Murphy again. Haggerty over on 2. Lewis again, and Ianeselli got a piece. And Florida State back within 1.
Well, I just don't know how you defend Corey Lewis. I mean, she is just elevating over the top of the block on a lot of these swings.
7 kills now, 14 attempts, and responsible for 5 blocks as well. Jensen. Breskovich kept it alive. Oh my, but looks like she carried it.
Eagles.
So the Eagles get the point back. Jensen looked like she got hit at the end of that play. Right there, ooh, both going for it.
Yeah, I thought Haggerty got away with a similar touch on the previous point, actually, and they let it go, and I think that may be the point that Chris Poole's trying to make. But you could clearly see on the replay her hand, like a waiter's tray, right underneath the ball, and then comes up and around it. You can definitely see why that would have been called a carry. I think just Haggerty also got away with one on the previous point that they missed.
Jensen seems to be okay. Overpass, and Ianeselli takes advantage.
How about that serve from Pollock? And some new faces at the service line for BC, and Ianeselli and Pollock paying dividends.
Pollock, who had 3 aces yesterday, and another.
That's an ace. For number 6, Jenna. Pollock. Timeout.
First ace of the day for Pollock. Timeout, Chris Poole. Eagles up by 4.
Throwing something a little different at Florida State. For the most part, BC float, float, float.
And again, it's at the libero.
Yeah. Well, they're giving Dupes a lot of ground to cover, so that's the other thing. And you know, a lot of times that is what is expected from a libero, but obviously BC's looked at the tape, feels like that's an area they can exploit, feels like maybe that's an area of the court that they serve particularly well, and it's worked out for them so far here in the third.
Take a look around the ACC. As we've talked about, it's a top 3, and then it's a lot of everybody else. 3 in the top 10, Pittsburgh, Louisville, and Georgia Tech. And then you see behind it, of the 3 teams that came in to this weekend tied for 4th, Florida State, Miami, and Syracuse. Of course, Miami lost on Friday to Boston College. Syracuse lost on Friday, of course, to Florida State. And now the Seminoles trailing to BC, so it's pretty tight. Remember, there's no ACC tournament. So the standings just helping to determine who's making the NCAA tournament, who's maybe making the NIVC. And this is what's coming up on ACC Network. Doubleheader coming up next Friday. Duke and Virginia Tech at 6 o'clock, and then Clemson and Florida State Eagles will be featured on ACC Network at noon on Sunday, November 13th. And then how big will that match towards the end of the ACC Network calendar? Pitt and Louisville in their second meeting of the season on November 18th.
Well, you know those top 3 ACC teams are all going to be in. That's for sure. And the question is, how many, and will the ACC get many other teams in the league? That big glut of teams in the middle, teams like Boston College towards the bottom are obviously going to have a huge impact. Obviously this match today and others going through the next couple weeks. And they're trying to catch up as well, looking for postseason opportunities.
No chance for Florida State, and the points.
Seminoles.
So 17-14.
Number 1, Sky Hicks.
Eagles will take Pollock out here, and Bridget Green will come in as a defensive specialist. Florida State on rotation. The other setter, Ava Pitchford, the sophomore from Georgia, is in. Lambros back set for Jensen and missed it long.
Seminoles.
Good look, just not quite able to put it down.
Lambros trying again. Ianeselli, what a strike. 7th kill for Ianeselli.
Well, this is exactly what BC wants to do. Great pass, Murphy, quick set. And Ianeselli beats the block. Lewis not able to get over in time. That's how quick the Eagles want to go.
That worked out. It was Eakes actually kind of reaching back, but still managed to find an open area in the middle of the Eagles defense.
Yeah, it looked like a design play off the serve where they had the outside hitter in Eakes coming middle. And Brennan actually gets a piece.
Lambros setting up Brennan. Another point for Boston College.
This is as good as Brennan's been in quite a while. 8 kills on 11 swings. Hitting over 700 for the match, and Florida State just has not had an answer for her.
Grace Penn back to serve. Slide chance for Lewis, and Murphy got the dig. A chance for Eakes, and that one did not get over the net. BC first to 20 here in the third.
Yeah, Eakes really hadn't seen a lot of court time prior to this year, but just trying to do too much on that ball. Didn't need to come at that hard an angle. There's only one blocker up there.
Trying Eakes again. Green, a little bit of a miss hit off the return. Eakes, who was ranked 15th on the position list of middle blockers, coming out 66th overall as a recruit to Florida State, playing a little bit more right side, outside hitter, as we talked about. Ianeselli's swing, Pitchford, leaving it for Koenig. Clavena, Pitchford got to it. Chance for the Eagles, up by 3, and a miss hit off the set, so now Florida State will get a chance. Green was there. Here's Ianeselli, took something off.
Well, how about this from Ianeselli? This is a picture-perfect changeup. Terrific defensive effort by Green. Look at that arm action. Looks like she's coming all the way through, and then as she gets to the contact point, just deadens it.
Perfect changeup. Eagles 4 points away, and that is into the net.
Too much change on that one.
Number 7, Emily Ryan, and number 3, Angelia Kreskovich.
Kreskovich back into serve for Florida State. 21-17 in this pivotal third set. Here is Pollock. Skovich chases it down. Here's Klevena. Lothier just had to put it over. Here's Pollock, try to go to the back line. Koenig was there to defend. Conley's chance defended well by BC. Klevena got another try and got it through the block.
Nice backup set here by Murphy. Just puts the ball up, gives Klevena a chance to see it. A good swing into the hands.
It's a little bit of a miss hit off the serve receive. Seminoles managed to get it over, and now Klevena right down the line.
Well, nobody there as Florida State was trying to get their blocking sorted out, but how about that play by Dupes on the move? Looks like that ball was dead right away off the initial block, and Dupes just kind of parried it back over the net.
Right in the middle, and a point for Emily Ryan.
Smart there by Clothier, broken play, so she puts it on top of the net, tells Ryan, go up and get it. It's a joust, and Ryan does just that. And beating Haggerty to the ball.
Penn reaching back, kept it alive, and sets up Pollock. Set point, Boston College.
Another big, big day for the Ontario native. 13 kills, leading the way for BC.
And it's Lambros who comes in for set point. That's long.
Oh, Cardinal Sim serving out on set point. BC's done well enough again here with the serve in the third to build up some cushion.
Lambros, good set to Jensen. Free ball over. Lambros again, set up Jensen. Haggerty jousting at the net. And BC takes the third set.
Couple of questions, right, for Jason Kennedy, sort of solidifying that left side hitter position, but also he's told us he's looking for a go-to hitter. You know, late in sets, clutch moments. Who's gonna be that go-to hitter? Maybe he's finding out that Jenna Pollock is that player for his team.
Yeah, he said, if it's 23-23, where am I going? Well, we saw it on Friday night, a couple of 23-23 sets, and it was Jenna Pollock indeed. So, through 3 sets, again, Florida State, the block numbers are still there, but the block was neutralized significantly more in the third set, and frankly, in the first set. In the second set, when Florida State was able to really play off of its block, that's the set that the Seminoles have won today.
Yeah, I thought BC did a little bit better job keeping that offensive pace going in the third period and beating the block to a couple of spots. And in instances where they weren't, where they had to resort to those high balls, Pollock and especially Izzy Klevena doing a better job, I think, of not hitting directly into the block, either hitting around, hitting over, making some sort of adjustment to be able to not get, you know, turned away directly to the floor.
Pollock 13 kills to lead BC. Lewis and Clothier with 7 each for Florida State. Ianeselli to start. Had a wonderful serving run. Remember in that third set. To the back line, BC won 6 consecutive points at one point to go from down 2 to up 4, and they ended up really holding on to the lead the rest of the way. That was tipped and 1-0 start.
How about this for a change? Florida State has swapped liberos. It's Burrows now instead of Dupes.
Boston College is really going after Dupes in the serving game. So Burrows back there to defend now. Reskovich back for Clothier.
Into the game for Florida State.
Only one block there. Both you're able to put everything into that. Penn thought she almost got the dig. Tough serve.
That's an ace for number 16, Emma Cloughier.
So 2-1 lead for Florida State.
Both of you are now up over 30 aces on the year.
Murphy diving on the overpass. And the Seminoles connect for a 3-1 start.
Well, Murphy does well to recognize it's a short serve, but can't do anything to keep it on her side of the net.
Pollock took something off, and then Lewis could not control it.
Eagles.
So BC with the point.
Number 23, Julia Haggard.
Another good adjustment from Pollock there on the tip, leaving that ball up there, knowing that Lewis would reach.
Sets down, all three, hit split.
On the other side, it was Koenig who gets the point for Florida State.
Seminoles. In the game for Florida State, number 18, Ava Pitchford. Number 1, Sky Eeks.
Pollock. Sometimes you know it's coming, and still nothing you can do about it.
Well, that time a really good sell by Haggerty, selling that shoot set, and the ball just goes right by her ear. And Pollock has a great window to swing through.
Haggerty continues to be really effective as a sophomore in the middle. Ianeselli and Murphy do keep it alive. But a free ball here for Florida State. Koenig. Throw it open middle.
Seminoles.
Well, Florida State running the same sort of action, right? This time it's Lewis with the sell. And on those free balls, you have to expect that Corey Lewis is going to be sort of the first option. So Haggerty has to stay at home, and that gives Koenig a one-on-one setup.
Ended up as an overpass off the serve return off of Pollock. And Florida State leads 6-3. Haggerty pushing it off the set. Conley had to reset her feet there, still managed to get it over, and a point for Jensen.
That's a goal for number 9 for Trina Jensen, assisted by number 5, Silvia Ianeselli.
Jenna Pollock to serve. A violation and a point to Florida State.
Seminoles. Into the game for BC, number 18, Bridget Green.
Bridget Green getting the call a little bit earlier here. Jason Kennedy feeling like he wants to maybe shore up the defense a little bit. Pollock's done a solid job, but obviously Green, defensive specialist, going to give BC a little bit more back there.
Ianeselli did good work to reach out of bounds, really, and contort enough to get the point.
Back in the game for your Eagles, number 3, Kate Brennan.
Yeah, good job. Just put a little side spinning action on it. Felt like the block for Florida State may have just glided a little bit too far to the pin.
Green could not control it.
Eeks getting involved a little bit more here early in the fourth set. She's in there in place of Rothman, I believe.
Number 7, Emily Ryan. Number 3, Angelia.
Well, again, this is sort of the silver lining from all Florida State's injuries. They've had the opportunity to look at different lineups, different players in different spots. So Chris Poole certainly feels comfortable making adjustments on the fly.
And Jelia Draskovic back into serve. That is another point for Jensen. At a negative hit percentage through the first 3 sets, but a couple of important points in a row.
Yeah, see if that gets her going a little bit. 2 big swings, put balls away. She's a player who really thrives on those statement swings.
Lothier. Murphy keeps it alive on the back line. Ianeselli could not get it over the block.
Seminoles. Into the game for state, number 12.
Yeah, it feels like you want to get her a little bit closer. That was a pretty good pass from Murphy. Got Penn just beyond the 10-foot line. And a really good block by Ryan.
Murphy, good bump set for Clavenna.
It's a kill for the captain, number 12, Isabel, assisted by number 4, Murphy. Back of the game.
And new player into the game for Florida State.
Pollock.
Alejandra Perez into the game for the first time for the Seminoles. Chris Poole, as we said, mixing and matching a little bit, trying to find the right rotations. Up 9-7 here in the 4th set, down 2-1 for the match. Murphy leads Ianeselli and gets the point. So Anna Murphy with back-to-back assists.
Well, your libero often put into this situation a lot because the team's going to take your setter out whenever they can on those free balls. So you have to have a libero who can set. Murphy doing a good job putting it where Ianeselli has a lot of room to swing.
That was blocked by Pollock.
That is a huge, huge solo stuff from Pollock, who has just had a huge imprint on this one today.
As you said, it was all alone over there against the All-American from last year, Emma Clothier. That ties the match 9-9. And it's an Eagles lead. 4-0 scoring run. And remember, this is right around the same time the Eagles went on their 6-0 run in the 3rd set, eventually taking the lead they would hold the rest of the way.
And it's Ianeselli again doing damage with the serve.
Let's go right here, Cease.
Free ball for BC. Clavenna knocks it off the block.
Too easy.
They faked out with Brennan, who's been taking those for the most part today. And a smart shot by Penn to get it to Clavenna.
Yeah, too easy off the free ball. There's that gap between the block and the antenna. Clavenna sees it. Just says, I'll take that one.
Interesting here, Chris Poole has not called the timeout that he did call in the 3rd set, trying to let his team figure it out. Nearly worked out for Emily Ryan. On a free ball through the middle. Chance for the Seminoles, and the point goes back for Audrey Koenig.
Seminoles.
Good job going quick the second time around. Again, the block from Brennan not able to get there in time to close the window on Koenig. Ryan may be fortunate not to get called for reaching over the first time through. Good job staying out of the net as well.
Koenig again, and Murphy was there. Pollock did not get it over. That was blocked by Corey Lewis.
Tried to go back to the same tip that she had before. That time didn't get enough air under it. Lewis, too tall. Return to sender.
So back-to-back points for Florida State, and 11-11 in the 4th. Pollock was long, but it was tipped on the way through. And it's 12-11.
16 kills now for Pollock. What a weekend. Approaching 30 for the 2-match total.
You make a good point about the answering questions, and not just about finding a position spot, but finding the go-to when you need a point. And And she has been that all weekend long for Boston College. And maybe again. But this time, the block was good.
Came back off Pollock, or it went out of bounds. And again, to speak to that point, these are going to happen. When you're hitting in that spot, you're not going to be perfect all the time. So you're going to have to swallow your fair share of blocks, your fair share of mishits. But Pollock has been, certainly better than, what BC had been getting for the most part early in the year. And she gets blocked, comes right back, gets the next one. And that's what Jason Kennedy is looking for. Someone he can rely on in that spot because it is such an important position on the floor.
Oh, what a catch by Artie there. That was well done. Over at the scorer's table. Jensen didn't need to get much of a piece of it, but did. 14-12, the Boston College lead. Right down the middle. Pollock. Good choice. Jenna Pollock with her 19th kill of the match. Eagles get to 15 first here in the fourth, trying to close out what would be a surprising sweep in the ACC. Pollock coming out party of sorts for the Boston College sophomore. Up to 19 kills in today's game following a double-double on Friday against Miami. There you see the numbers here. Played really well against Miami, also had the aces to go along with it, and then how about the hit percentage as well, almost 300. FSU went to the slide and gets a point out of it.
First time we've seen that one in a while.
They had a lot of success with it in the first set.
Right.
Then we saw it sparingly at times for the rest of the match, but it works well there out of the media window, so 15-13.
Feels like they've been playing out of system more often than not, though.
Pollock up to 20.
Back on the right side this time. That's where she set up out of the serve receive instead of having her go across the court to swing left side. Just say, hey, you've hit right side before, huh? She knows how to do this.
That's the benefit of having the versatile player, and you even talked about a converted middle blocker at that,
right?
In Jenna Pollock. Eeks was blocked. Lambros for Ianeselli. Got a piece of it again. Another try. Ooh, that caught Ianeselli up high.
Ouch. That's one of those, it wasn't the hardest hit ball that Eeks has had today, but you can see, it looks like right on the cheek.
Awkward angle, certainly. Eagles do manage to get it over, a bit out of system. Kept alive, but into the net. And it's 16-15.
Into the game for your Eagles, number 18,
Bridget Green will come back in as the defensive specialist for Pollock.
Timeout on the floor, BC.
Eagles will use the timeout. What a game this fourth set has turned into. 16-15, led by 20 kills for Jenna Pollock, which is a career high, hitting up to 311 from yesteryear. Appreciate that. So, 1-point game. Eagles are up 2-1 after winning the third set, 25-20. You know, it's worth noting here, Boston College in the third set went on that 6-point run in the middle and really were able to keep the lead the whole way. Here, they also went on a 5-point run, but Florida State has answered and defended it quite well. So much closer fourth set here at 16-15. Florida State has won 4 of the last 5 points. Eeks controlled by BC. Chance Ianeselli. And it's Burroughs, the new libero, who is there. Stepping up from the back line, Koenig. Cross court, tough angle. And a good shot from Sydney Conley.
I think Ianeselli's trying to hulk up here. That was about the hardest swing she's had. But a great job by Burroughs to get underneath it, make it playable.
Yeah, she's certainly swinging much harder than just in there for low error. Her game has really come on. Another try. Could not get it through the block. Pitchford gets a chance on the slide again. And Conley was defended well. At the net, point to Florida State.
Seminoles.
Yeah, tough pass, just a little bit tight. Jason Kennedy making a move. He's going to give Ianeselli a beat to rest up a little bit, bringing Crabtree onto the floor.
Looks like we may have a challenge here from Jason Kennedy.
BC is challenging the goal on the floor.
So I think he may be looking for an early whistle here.
The points, so take it off the board.
That's a big win for BC.
So the ruling is that Lambros did not touch it, and then the whistle, once it blows, you can't come back from that. It affects the play, so that's why you get a re-point here. So it's Lauren Burroughs to serve for Florida State, 16-16. Jensen, big swing. You talked about how she thrives off those big swings.
And that was the biggest of the day for her.
Anna Murphy back to serve for Boston College. Eagles lead 17-16. And that is a miss hit off the return. Anna Murphy puts Boston College up 2, and Chris Poole is going to take a timeout. So a nice run here, and again, the review struggles with injuries at times this year, but we'll get to Georgia Tech twice on the remaining schedule. This is where the Eagles started the year at 13-3. In the ACC, 3-8 so far. and got the victory over Miami, and this has a chance. It already feels like it's a building block weekend, but it has a chance to turn into more of your magical type weekend if the Eagles could come away here and get to the finish line in the fourth set. Gonna go deep, and that is long.
How about Murphy? Just throwing her body after it. Following it the whole way, and then just pulled her arms in.
Followed it, and let it go. 3-point lead for BC. That hits the line! Oh my! And Boston College has a 4-point lead. Chris Pohl's gonna take another timeout. Eagles 5 points away from closing out a weekend sweep.
How about two massive swing points right there? As close gets. Getting out of the way of a ball that just goes long, and then seen this a few times today from a few different players. That float serve just dying on the back line. And nothing Florida State can do about it.
You know, it's interesting when we talked with Jason Kennedy this week. One of the things he mentioned was we really feel like we have had moments where we've competed with some of the top teams in the ACC. The next step was, though, can we compete all the way to 25, right? And you saw it against Miami, and I thought the way the Eagles responded after losing that second set was impressive in terms of the way they played in the third and fourth, and here is a great example. They played extremely well today. Florida State really controlled the second set, but other than that, Boston College has today. Now, you're up 20-16, but can you compete all the way to 25? And if you can, then you've pulled off a special weekend.
Well, and they've showed that, you know, again, in the game against Miami, they did it. Through the first and third sets today, they did it. Chance to beat Florida State, you saw there for just the second time in school history. And again, factor this in. You go back as far as 2007, BC has only taken 2 sets off the Seminoles, and they've equaled that already today.
At the net, and it is out. So Florida State gets a point back.
Well, that's one the Eagles would want back. Just a miscommunication there. Brennan and Jensen both went for it, then both pulled back on a missed opportunity on an overpass there. And when you're trying to close out a set, you want to avoid gifting the opposition any easy points.
Angelia Dreskovic into serve. Crabtree in there for the first time, and a miss hit off the serve return. So it's a 2-point game now as Florida State has won 2 in a row. Lambros kept it alive, and a chance for Florida State to get within 1. That is out. That's a mishit and a mistake. And Clothier knew it immediately.
Not something you usually see from her. These last 3 points have been, you know, far from what these two teams expect out of one another. These are maybe a little bit of the nerves creeping in late in the set.
Grace Penn back into serve for Boston College. 21-18, Eagles lead here in the fourth set. That is off the block and out. So Florida State back within 2. And it's Perez back in.
She hasn't seen a lot of court time in this match today, getting an opportunity here in the fourth with the shuffling of the liberos. Dupes out, Burrows in. And so Perez takes Burrows' spot as the back row defensive specialist.
Murphy lunging to get it. Long set over for Clavenna. Free ball for BC. It's Brennan, and she scores.
I was kind of hoping BC would go back to that off the free ball. It's been a while since Brennan's gotten a set, and she has been money on all of these free ball opportunities. Just another terrific day for Brennan. And when she's going, just adds another layer to this BC offensive attack.
Brennan doing what middle blockers do, high percentage, taking advantage of the opportunities. That shot goes. Good answer from Audrey Koenig. 22-20.
Now if you're BC, it's just all about staying on serve. Have to take care of the serve receive here, put a ball down.
Lothier. Brennan. Brennan again, well defended. Murphy on the bump set. Plavena is too long. Was it tipped though? No. Boston College thought it might have been, but point to Florida State. And the Seminoles can serve to tie here in the fourth.
Again, tough block there with Lewis up there. Ooh, that's close. Looks like she may have gotten a piece.
Plavena. Big swing, Izzy Plavena. BC 2 points away. And it's Kate Brennan to serve. Here's Pollock. Jenna Pollock. It was deflected. And it's match point for Boston College. Career high 21 kills for Jenna Pollock. Hit the net. Eagles have a chance to close it out. It's Pollock, and it is blocked out, and Boston College wins. What a weekend. They may review this final point. No reason not to for Chris Poole.
Florida State is challenging the call.
So Florida State will challenge the final look. Otherwise, Boston College has its biggest weekend in quite a while.
Well, Chris Poole was so fired up about this when he just totally bypassed the card, went straight over, said, hey, that was on the line. Had to go back and retrieve the challenge card.
And they are already done with the review, it appears. BC wins.
What a weekend. What a welcome home. First time at home in a while for the Eagles. And they could not have imagined a better way to celebrate. Boy, this is just making the ACC even more interesting here as we go into the final weeks.
You know, Jason Kennedy, the one thing he did say on the call this week was we've competed for stretches against some of the best. It's about finishing and getting to 25. They finished and got to 25 all weekend.
Absolutely. Did it in the match against Miami. Had a chance to even take the set that they dropped. You could probably make that case today as well, as they had a late charge in the second, but they've been getting it done all weekend long, and it's a middle blocker, turned right side hitter, turned left side hitter, Jenna Pollock, who is really taking her game to another level over the past couple matches.
Again, shifting over, playing in a slightly different spot, and completes a dream weekend to help Boston College get victories over Miami and Florida State. And Jenna, nice enough to join us now. First of all, Jenna, congratulations on the win. Career high 22 kills as you finish up today, following up an amazing game on Friday as well. Take us through the emotions of what had to be just a huge weekend.
Yeah, obviously having the team, it was so much energy, and it was just a lot of fun, and everyone was there and supporting each other, and it was just a really good win for all of us.
Jenna, where you're playing on this left side position now a little bit more, obviously it's a little bit of a different role than you've had earlier in the season. When the coaches first came to you and asked you about filling in this role, what was your initial reaction, and how's your adjustment been?
Yeah, obviously passing's not really my strong suit, but I've definitely took on the challenge and definitely ready to do whatever the team needs me to do.
Jenna, you guys, one thing Coach told us this week is you guys have done really well competing against some of these top teams, but the next step is about getting to 25 with some of those top teams. What did you feel like was the key in being able to get there and finish for the group this weekend to get 2 big wins?
Honestly, I think it was the energy and the compete that we had all together. We talked all the time about keeping our energy up, even if something's not going right, just putting on a smile, faking it until you make it, and just keep up the energy for all of us.
Jenna, congratulations. Enjoy these wins. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
That's Jenna Pollock. 22 kills, a career high for Boston College, who come away with 2 huge wins this weekend over Miami and Florida State, both in 4 sets. Quite a weekend for the Eagles. Appreciate you joining us all weekend long. For my broadcast partner, Ben Alsher, for our producer, Mike Baker, director, Josh Demers, and the whole crew, Eric Galanti, saying so long from the Canal Athletic Center. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, download the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.